So in my mind, I was just trying to make my current PC faster by adding an SSD, more RAM, and a much better CPU. But by that time, I realized I had pretty much 50% of a computer, kinda. So now I was just like, you know what, might as well just build one from scratch. So that's what I did. And in this video, I will be giving you a step-by-step guide on how to build one, from putting it together to installing Windows and updating your BIOS and drivers, with the section for testing the new PC as well. And also, big thanks to everyone who took my channel to 205 subscribers in 1 month after taking 3 years to get 80 subscribers. So thanks again. So this is the $400 build. First up, we've got the Ryzen 3 3200G, and also we have a solid state drive, 256 gigabytes, and a Barracuda 2TB hard drive, as well as 16 gigs of RAM, 430 watt power supply, a Gigabyte S2H motherboard, and of course the PC case, which is also RGB for only $48. And this all comes to about $405 to be exact. But this stuff is really good, especially with 16 gigs of RAM, which is the higher end. And also we managed to get an SSD in it, and 2 terabytes of hard drive storage for only $50, and a great case. And also, but there is one issue. The issue would be that the Ryzen comes with a integrated graphics, the Radeon Vega 8, but we don't have a fully dedicated GPU though. But it's not horrible, and it's fine for a $400 build especially. Alright, so the first thing we've got to do is take the motherboard out of the box and lay it on top of it to start building. And once you've taken the CPU out of the box, gently lay it in the AMD socket, making sure not to put too much pressure, and aligning it with the holes. After that, you can now lower this lever of the CPU to secure it in place. Next is the RAM. Open up the tabs in the RAM placement area, and then place the RAM inside, noting the opening on the RAM and putting it in the correct orientation on the board. You can then add some pressure until you hear the click, or place it in manually, closing the tabs. And then do the same for the other RAM stick as well. After installing the RAM, you can then remove the motherboard to make space for the PC case. Once you've cleared the wires from the PC, it is now time to add the I/O shield. For this part, you will have to add some intense pressure onto the shield so that it snaps into place, and you can hear a loud, audible noise in all corners and sides to ensure it is in safely. Now we're about to set up the standoffs. You should make sure there are 6 or however many they are on your motherboard. Just check your manual to see. Just make sure you put the standoffs in the right position, because taking them off isn't very amazing. And also make sure you get the right screws to screw it into the motherboard, and it says it in your manual. So right here, it's the little ones, because otherwise it won't be very fun for you. The next thing we have to do is actually put the motherboard in and screw them into the standoffs. So you line it in with the I/O shield, and you put it in. Let's get this in. Put your screws into like a white box, just so you don't lose them. After placing the motherboard into the I/O shield, you can then screw in the board with the included screws from the PC case into the holes. For me, there are only 6 screws, but your case might be different, so check your manuals to be sure. Up next is the cooler, which you have to take these 4 screws off because we don't need it for the included cooler for the Ryzen chips. So you unscrew that. Now the cooler.
It's a pretty good case.
Into the screws. Making sure the backboard is still on the motherboard, you can then screw in the CPU fan. To take off the back cover, there's 2 screws, one here and then one here, and you just unscrew it like this. And then it comes off. Even though it's supposed to be a thumb screw, you still need a screwdriver, which kind of defeats the purpose. Making progress. Now we gotta put the power supply in, unscrew the back plate, and then the fan has to go on the bottom. And then you just put this through. And then you screw it in on the other side. Hey Google, what's the temperature upstairs?
Sorry, I couldn't reach it.
Now you gotta route the cables to the bottom. So this part is really important, obviously, and this is when you plug in all the components such as the front header and power supply cables to the motherboard. As you can see here, you can pause the video and see where all the cables are to be plugged into. And for the power switch and other small cables, you can look underneath the little plugs and it will have a graph for how to plug those in. Make sure to plug these in properly, as this will prevent you from turning on the system if incorrectly done. So far, this is what we've got. We got the power, and we got the switches for a power switch, power LED, reset switch. We got the audio, we got the 2 USBs and the USB 3, and we got the CPU and CPU power installed. We don't need to install our GPU, but if you are going to be installing it, it goes right here, and you just take off these parts and then take it off. Then install it, and that's it. And then just put these up, and you're done. But since we have a integrated graphics in the Ryzen 3, we can skip that part. All right, so for our SSD, our 128 gig, or 256 actually, we're gonna be mounting it over here. And so for that, we have to go into the back. Let's move this over. So this is the screw for the SSD, it's the smaller one. We used for the motherboard as well, and you screw it in. There's 4 slots right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you just screw it in, match it with the SSD holes. Alright, so behind this, we have 2 slots of hard drive, and this is where you put it in. You just take these racks out, and then you put it in. Once you have the brackets into the hard drive, you just slide it into the rack, and it snaps on, and then you connect the SATA cable, looks like this, into the drive. And for the SSD, we also have to connect it. So you bring this up, Yeah, this is the power. It's kind of hard to do with all the wires going on. So we have this AeroCool PC case has a RGB in the front, and this is the RGB connector, and it's up on the top. So you just route it through the back, right here, and then you connect it to this SATA connection, which goes for the hard drive. So you just connect it in to one of these, and then the other side goes into the hard drive. Like that. And you might also have cable ties or zip ties in your power supply box. So just check there, and these are very helpful when you're trying to close your case. So yeah, just tie it up. And now try to put back your plate, which might take some time, but just keep at it. Alright, so once you're done with all of that, you have to get Windows on your computer. So now you go onto the Microsoft Windows 10 downloader, and you click the download tool now, and it'll come up here, and once it's downloading, you open it up, and then you click on the second screen or something. It'll ask you, do you want it on a thumb drive? And you click on that one, and make sure you have the thumb drive connected, and make sure it's at least 8 gigabytes. And then once you're done with that, it'll come up to this page and start downloading Windows 10 onto the thumb drive. And now you just wait. You guys might be wondering, how do I get Windows 10 without paying so much? Because as you can see, on the Microsoft Windows Store, it says that Windows 10, this is where you download it, Windows 10 Home is $139. If you go on to Windows 10 Pro, it's $199. So, this would majorly take a hit on your budget for your PC. If it was a $400 budget, this would make it like $200. So this is a big deal. And so many people don't know this, but for some reason, if you go onto eBay and you search Windows 10 Pro key, you can find the perfect activation keys for really cheap. Like this one, $2, $4.85, $5.99. So I bought one of these, and when you buy it, it comes up immediately. And so they send you an email into your eBay inbox, and it tells you the code right there under Windows 10 Pro key. And there you go, it works perfectly fine. I don't know how they get it from Microsoft or however, a wholesaler or something, but for some reason, when you go onto eBay and you search up Microsoft Windows 10 Pro key, you get it for $2 to $5, which is insane because Microsoft is selling them for $200. So I have also linked the eBay listing in the description below if you want to check that out, as well as all the products as I said before. This is where we have the Windows downloaded, and you just plug it in to the new computer. And for the first time, I'm turning it on. We got light. Dell, that's for the monitor. And we have some power. And it's booted into Windows. Well, it's booting. Now just give it some time to download it. We should be good. Alright, now you go into the setup. Alright, so we are downloading Windows, so just give it some time and it'll do its thing. Then it'll restart for you automatically after it's done installing it. For internet, we have a TP-Link USB Wi-Fi receiver, and you just plug it in and you have Wi-Fi. Because a lot of the motherboards don't even come with Wi-Fi, so you have to have an external adapter for it. You have Wi-Fi. So now you have to go back to the settings and put the product key in. Let's see if it works. Oh, we have Windows 10 Pro with $2 instead of paying like $150 for Microsoft. I don't know how they get Windows 10 activation codes for $2 and make profit, but somehow it's working perfectly fine, and it's a good way to get your Windows 10 without spending $200, $150. I would suggest that you download the apps onto the SSD because it enables you to open up things a lot faster, which you don't really need that for the new documents like Doc and PowerPoint because it's not as power intensive. So now that we're done with that, we can check our drives. But here, when you're going to here, it only shows one drive even though there's a 2 terabyte drive that's a hard drive also in our system. So how to get that is you have to go into this and then click on disk partitions or create and format hard disk. Then you go into here, and then as you can see there is a system right here, and you have to click new simple volume, next, and leave this, and you can change the assign a drive letter to the drive, and also let's put this as D drive for hard drive, and also let's do new volume, change the name to 2 terabyte, and perform a quick format. Since it's new, you can select that, and then next, and that looks good. And as you can see, we are set up, and if you go back into, see, it pops up there. Yep, and we have 2 terabytes available, brand new, nothing in it, and it shows up. That's how you get the new drive in. Alright, so this is the next step. You still have to download the latest drivers for your AMD or whatever NVIDIA GeForce graphics card. So what you do is you search up the graphics you have, and you just find the AMD version right here, and then you click on it, and here it should say drivers and support, and you click on that and Windows 10, and you can look at the release date. It says 4/23/2020, and so when you go into the AMD Radeon systems settings, you can see that the latest software downloaded is actually 2019 10/16, which means this is older. So this is what usually happens. So the best thing is you should download the newest software and just let it run. Let this download for a second. And after that, give it some more time to finally install the display drivers. And let's see what it says. Alright, so this next step is how to download BIOS, the latest version. So once you're in the Gigabyte or whatever motherboard company you used it from, you just go to their website and click on support, and it should pop up as BIOS. And so the newest one is F50, but you need to know if you already have F50 or which one you already have installed, pre-installed by the motherboard manufacturer. So what you do is you go to System Information, just type System Information, and it'll pop up. And right down here, you can see that it says right here, BIOS version / date, and it tells us 11/28/2019. So the newest one is F50, and it was made in 2019 11/28, which is the same thing, which means we already have the up-to-date BIOS, so we don't need to do anything about it. But your case might be different. It might have an older version, so I would suggest that you download the newest one, and you just open it up, and I believe it'll make you go to the BIOS, or it might just install it for you, and you just open it, unzip it, and then you run the installer and you restart.
So there we have it. Look at this. The graphics quality is set at high, and all the other settings are high. And now we can go into the game and see
also
how it
60
actually looks
FPS as well. 60 FPS.
Yep, the 60 frames per second.
We'll have to see how this is all working. So we'll go into the game.
Yep.
So yeah, no problems. Fortnite, even with the USB Wi-Fi chip, perfectly fine. This computer is a success, and this is running in high settings too. I mean, I have a feeling it could run in ultra settings, but it might be a little laggy, but other than that, it's perfectly fine. This is a great deal for $400. Now let's test some other game. Alright, so now we're playing Watch Dogs. It seems pretty smooth, but the FPS, as you can see on the corner, it's only at 33 and 97% utilization with the GPU. And 50% more, plus 50% plus for the CPU, which is okay. And I think the FPS should go up. Keep in mind, it is being recorded, so maybe that's affecting it a little bit. But I don't think the screenplay is very bad.
So I told you it's like GTA basically. Yeah, the gameplay is smooth. It's not very. You can see that there's not many frames per second, but the frames per second isn't very high. But
I think this is running on high settings, right?
Yeah, it's high settings, and it's playable. It's very playable. Playable.
So high settings, you can obviously turn this down.
The FPS isn't high, but that's fine. I think the gameplay is very much playable, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any dips in.
Yeah, there's no. It's very it's consistent. It's staying at that frames per second. Excuse my driving, but.
Yeah, this game is just like GTA 5.
Except there's hacking. But it's not very much hacking. It's just like, press a button. You hacked everything. Whoa, okay. It's a lot of fun driving, actually, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, the gameplay looks pretty good. Looks really good, actually.
Yeah, this is high settings, so I mean, if we put it in low settings, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'd get
medium settings. Why would I put it in low? But,
yeah, medium settings, we'd get a really high FPS number.
Oh, okay. Alright, we're gonna be dying soon, so. Not dying. We're gonna escape. We're gonna escape. We're gonna escape. I need more traffic lights. The only problem with this game is you can't shoot out of the car. You had to use the hacking and blow up terminals or something. You blow up steam pipes, and you turn on street lights so that they I mean, not, what's it called? You make everything green light so that all the cars crash in at once. Something like that. Let me see. Let's go to the city area. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I can't hack the bridge yet. Oh, dang it. This is all stinking. Bro, my car is about to explode. Look at the smoke effects, though. Those are really good. It's not bad. I think you definitely run GTA 5 on this at 30 frames per second. Yeah, this is definitely like Xbox 360 or Xbox One, early one, first one type of performance. 30 frames is perfectly fine. It's playable. 100%.
Especially in high settings.
Yes.
You're going to be really happy with this computer if you get this.
Yes. It's a beginner's computer, but anyone really could use it.
I mean, it's not just for gaming. Gaming is the higher end. You can do it for office work and coding.
School, whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah, this is very much a... See, the benefits of getting a computer over like an Xbox or something, if you're going for the gaming angle, is Xbox is limited to gaming. So that's basically its only fault. Like, it's mainly focused on gaming. And most people aren't gamers in the sense that they're not playing games every second of their life. So a computer, getting a desktop, gives you the ability to play a game as well as being able to do your work on the side. Or, well, it most likely be the other way around, right? Gaming on the side and work as your main thing. Anyway. Yeah, this is a good candidate for that type of stuff. Ooh, let me show you this.
And now we're up to 40 FPS. Even with this screen recording on.
Poor dude got killed. Alright, you see the shadows on the side and the light reflecting. The smoke, this actually looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway. Yeah, in this high environment, in this high dense environment, you can see that the game is consistent at 30 frames. There's no dips in quality, it's consistent. There's no stutters or anything.
And also, we only have 43% RAM utilization, which is really good. And that's because we have 16 gigs of DDR4, 3000 megahertz RAM, which is really good for any computer. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you if DaVinci Resolve works on the new computer. So I downloaded it and let's see if the video editing is perfectly fine. And so we'll be able to test out if this can handle a good rendering speed and be able to render even in 1080p or even 4K. So we'll have to check that out now. Now let's test out a rendering of a 1-minute video. Alright, let's get to MP4, 1080p HD, and add to render queue, rename, overnight. And then let's hit start render and let's see how long it takes to render this 1-minute video. So as you saw, the rendering of a 1-minute 1080p video was perfectly fine and smooth. It rendered it in 1 minute and 2 seconds, which is really good, especially considering there is a RAM chart, a RAM CPU and GPU and a GPU chart going on in the background, as well as a screen recording. So considering all that and having a 1 minute render time is pretty good, and it's pretty much really good for especially for 1080p too. So I'm pretty happy with this, and you can expect that. And also we had pretty much 95% GPU utilization and near 100% utilization for the most of the other time, which is pretty good too. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you somehow watched till the end, please hit the subscribe button on the screen to subscribe, and that will be greatly appreciated, as this video took at least 15 hours to make, from building to a crazy long time editing. See you in the next one.